Hey, and welcome to the Beer Garden. I am Jason, that is Brandon, and this is a Sidecar episode, so we're going to get right into it. Today, we are talking about computerized maintenance management systems, or CMMS, which sounds like a whole bunch of gobbledygook until we actually get into what it is. So basically, these are the systems that you manage your equipment, fleet, etc., all into one house. So this is where you'd be submitting your work orders for repairs. This is where you would be adding all of your preventative maintenance and just generally kind of tracking everything that happens with your fleet and your equipment. So as we do with the sidecars, we're going to give you a real tangible implementation list. We're going to keep it short and sweet and just kind of give some actionable steps so that you can go and implement this tomorrow. So, with that, Brandon, I'm going to turn it over to you because you've done this very, very well in your business.
Why, thank you. So, yeah, like Jason said, we're going to go through kind of 5 steps to get this really put into place. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. Lots of different software out there that you can pay for to get it done. The one that we use and I have the most experience with, not to say it's the best, but we've been really happy with it, is called MTC Pro Web. So we use the web version of that. I think they still have a desktop version, which is surprising that software is even made that way anymore. But this one is in the cloud, as they call it. You could use, at a basic level, you could certainly just use a spreadsheet or a whiteboard in the shop, something like that. The important thing is that you're doing it. So one of the most important things, I think, is making sure there's a single, so this would be the first step, like assigning a single individual to own the setup of this software or this system in your company, and then doing the housekeeping on it long term. It's something where there's a lot of inputs and a lot of data going into it, and a lot of people sending things in, like repair requests and doing inspections, and it can get really messy if nobody is just keeping it clean over time. And then you're just left with this pile of information and data that doesn't mean anything to anybody, and it was all for naught. So I would make one person accountable for looking after it, and that person should be reasonably good with computers. They should kind of understand equipment maintenance, and they're going to oversee the implementation of it into your company, which basically means getting your staff to use it every day and working it into the day-to-day of your business. One of the next things you're going to have to do once you decide on the system, so decide on the software or decide on the size of whiteboard or whatever that you need, is that you're going to have to come up with a naming convention for giving unit numbers to your trucks and equipment. So all that means is, what is the code? Like, is it just going to be numbers, letters, like how many letters and how many numbers, whatever it's going to be? You want that standardized across the company. And so what I really like is 3 letters and 2 numbers, probably because I don't have more than 100 pieces of anything. If you're like a municipality, you might have 3 numbers. So mine is, for example, TRK, so 3 letters, always 3, and then 2 numbers, 01. So TRK 01 is truck 1. And then, you could have up to truck 99. 3 letters is good because you'll eventually run into things where the 3 letters should be something else. I wish I had an example, but you'll have like trailer and tractor or something. And if both of those are TR, then you're like, so 3 letters just gives you a little more flexibility there. And those should always be the same again. Think through how you're going to break them up. So, I've seen people try to do it where they're breaking up like brands. That's not something to do. Like, you have all your blowers, they're all BLW. BLW 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter if BLW 1 is an echo and BLW 2 is a still. They're all BLW. Don't be silly and try to break them up across all these BLW S and BLW E or whatever.
All these platforms are going to have a place for you to enter the brand, the model, everything else.
Yeah.
Like you don't need it in your naming conventions.
Exactly. We made that mistake before. And then you will create decals and install the decals, or decals, as you call them in the States, I believe, decals.
Yep, that's it.
And yeah, we actually, we're like a reasonably sized company, and we use a Cricut, which is funny. So we don't, we don't mess around. We went out and invested in a Cricut, which is like an inkjet printer for decals. And so, yeah, that's a good way to do it. You can just get them from your sign supplier if you prefer, and get them installed on all your trucks and equipment.
We used stencils and spray paint.
On trucks?
Well, not on trucks. Sorry, on the equipment.
On aerators and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's like Mad Max style. You can do that too if you want. You can use Sharpies, I don't care, but get the numbers on the equipment, write it in multiple places, and write it in a place that won't wear off too bad. Write it somewhere that's hard to scratch off if somebody steals it. That's a pro tip. You will, I'm still in the second step here. You will add all that equipment to the database. So you've created, you pick the software or the system. Now you need to enter all the equipment. That's the first action you're taking in that database, right? So you're writing in, TRK1 or mower 1, the brand, the model number, the serial number, license plate number, and the initial meter. So they should all have a meter, which is either going to be the odometer, the hour meter, or a date if it doesn't have either of those two. Date would be for things like backpack blowers or line trimmers because they don't have hour meters. Then after you have all of that in there, you are going to want to create your preventative maintenance templates and your inspection templates. So preventative maintenance just means like we've all seen it in vehicles before, where we have to get our oil changed every 5,000, 8,000 kilometers, and you have to get this done at this many kilometers. That's a preventative maintenance schedule, right? So you want to build that as typically as a template into the system, because you're going to have many pieces of equipment attached to that template. So you don't have to enter every single thing every time you add a new leaf blower to the fleet. So you'll add that. And you will add, yep.
Really quick, every time you buy a new piece of equipment, the owner's manual has this maintenance schedule in the owner's manual. Like, just open it up and you can go through and literally just take everything that's in that owner's manual and build it into a template for your maintenance.
Yep, exactly. Inspection templates. These are, so you want the meters, the actual meter, updated regularly, right? So the way that the systems know whether to trigger an event to tell you to get the oil changed is because they know that, last week it was at 80 hours and this week it's at 100 hours. So it needs that input of what are the hours today. Those are done typically through inspections before the crew member uses the equipment. So they open the app, they go through a checklist, which you have to build the template for. They enter today's current meter reading, and if it has exceeded the task, it triggers a task for it. And then you assign all the equipment to those templates. The fourth thing you need to do, of course, is a staff training session and kind of setting the tone and telling them why this is so important that you get this done. So just telling them, the reason behind it, how to do it, how to do the inspections, that you're going to be following up on it every day, and that they don't want to, but you're going to hold them accountable and hold the line on getting this done. And this is really important. This is where these things often die, because people just say at the end of the day, they don't report something is broken or something breaks and they put it in the truck and they don't tell anybody, or they mention it to you on the phone or text you or something. You've always got to say, fill in a repair request, like get it in the system so that we are following this, right? The final thing, this is the last step, is auditing the system over time. So I would, I set a calendar reminder or put it on a recurring, if you use some kind of software or something, put it in a recurring to-do to audit the system. This would mean doing a full equipment inventory, like export the list of equipment. Do we still have blower number 8? Like, where is it? When was the inspections last done? Is there any inspections that haven't been done for a month, even though that equipment's done every day or used every day? And just think of things you want to check for, and maybe do that every 6 months or every 3 months, and have it on a recurring system. So you can keep your system clean and updated, and you can see if any equipment's been lost or stolen or whatever the case may be, and take action on it accordingly. So that's kind of it. It's a bit simple, but it will save you a ton of money and give the owner of the business a lot of peace of mind too.
Can I share a couple advanced steps for this process?
Sure.
I can't take credit for having implemented these because I don't have these implemented in our business, but these are some things that we've considered and that I've seen some really dialed companies running. So first and foremost is there are systems out there, depending on the equipment, obviously, but especially for vehicles and even some equipment that runs hour meters, that you can install either GPS systems or meter reading systems that actually integrate with your CMMS platform, so that you don't have to rely on the inspection to update that. It's updated in real time. So that's really cool. Obviously, that's like take the first step just to like get a system going. But if you've already got something, that's a cool upgrade to consider, along with this next one, which is installing QR codes on every piece of equipment that you have. And so to access the work order form already preloaded for that piece of equipment, or the inspection form for that piece of equipment, or the SOPs on how to use or maintain that piece of equipment, you just take a photo of it with your phone, QR code, and it opens to a web page where you can access the links for all those different things. So both things I thought were really, really cool, kind of advanced processes for this system.
Yeah, those are really neat. We've looked into those things as well and tried them out. Certainly, just the focus on you'll hear me say this almost every episode, but just getting started and just getting your equipment into a system and getting people in the habit of doing the basics is where you want to start. And then, as Jason pointed out, there's some really, really neat things once it's underway that you can layer onto it. So
cool. You mentioned MTC Pro at the top. That's the system that both you and I use, the CMMS system that we both use. Any other resources that you want to recommend or shout out regarding this?
Nothing in particular. I would make sure to check out the full episode. We did an episode not too long ago on just the importance of standardizing equipment, and we talk a little bit more about this in there. So yeah, I would learn a bit more about it from that, but I don't have any particular books or podcasts or anything that come to mind for this one.
I'll throw out a couple really quick resources. 2 Second Lane, the book 2 Second Lane. There's a lot of good stuff in there about kind of this that could be related to this process. And just Paul Akers, the author of that book in general. He runs a company. Do you remember the name of his company that kind of started all that?
Fast Cap.
That's right, Fast Cap. Look up FastCap on YouTube. They've got a bunch of great videos and lots of cool ways that they've kind of handled their processes, some of which would relate directly to this kind of maintenance management process.
Good one.
Cool. Awesome. Anything to add before we close?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm all good
Awesome.
on this one.
All right. Most importantly, get started, as Brandon said. Take the first step and follow that very simple SOP. You can carve out some time tomorrow if this is important to you and get this thing done. Thanks very much for tuning in. Like, comment, and share. This has been another episode of the Beer Garden Sidecar Edition. Thanks.